Part 2 of The Roman Empire, a complex society about which we do not know everything. KHAOS data number 4. And in the midst of this total crisis, the emperors grew increasingly desperate for money. They raised taxes to absurd levels. They taxed everything imaginable. Do you know what they decided to tax when there was nothing left to squeeze out of them? Urine. Yes, you heard right. The Romans collected urine from public baths, the famous communal latrines. Why? For the laundries, the Fulonicae. Urine contains ammonia, which was the best cleaner available for bleaching togas. It was so valuable to the textile industry that Emperor Vespasian, in the 1st century, imposed an official tax on urine collection. When his son Titus complained about the shameful nature of the business, Vespasian showed him a coin collected from the tax, held it to his nose, and uttered a phrase that became immortal: pecunia non olet, money doesn't smell. And he was right. Today, 2,000 years later, money is money, it's all the same, no matter where it comes from. And since we're talking about eccentric emperors and their questionable decisions, there's a story everyone knows about Emperor Caligula. It's probably the most famous and crazy anecdote from the entire Roman Empire. It's said that Caligula, the emperor considered insane, appointed his favorite horse, Incitatus, as consul. A horse ruling Rome. That's the ultimate proof of his madness, right? But now, KHAOS fact number 5. It never happened. What he did do was care for Incitatus like a loved one. He fed him oats mixed with gold flakes. He assigned him his own servants. And yes, he sarcastically threatened to appoint him consul, but as a direct insult to the Senate. It was his flamboyant way of saying, "You are so useless and incompetent that even my horse would do a better job governing than you." It was a political insult, not literal madness. But over time, after his assassination, his enemies twisted the sarcastic threat into a historical fact to completely discredit him, and propaganda became legend. Let's return to the story. Faced with the threat of total collapse during the crisis of the 3rd century, a series of energetic and militaristic emperors desperately attempted to save what remained of the empire. First came Diocletian. In 293, he implemented a radically new system, the Tetrarchy, the rule of 4. He divided the empire into 4 administrative sections, each governed by an Augustus or a Caesar. The idea was brilliant. Such a vast territory needed multiple administrators who could respond quickly to local crises. From the chaos of civil wars between governors emerged Constantine the Great. He reunified the empire under his absolute rule and made a decision that would change the geography of power forever, to found a new capital. Ancient Rome, in the west, was in decline. It had lost strategic importance. So Constantine chose the ancient Greek city of Byzantium, renamed it Constantinople, and officially inaugurated it in 330. KHAOS number 6. Who could have imagined it 300 years earlier? In the year 33 AD, in a minor province of the Roman Empire called Judea, the Roman authorities executed a Jewish preacher named Jesus of Nazareth. They crucified him as a common criminal, as a rabble-rouser, as a threat to the political and religious order. It was a routine execution. No one could have foreseen the consequences. Think about it. The empire that crucified him ended up worshipping him. The emperors who once fed Christians to the lions in the Colosseum, who burned them alive as human torches in the imperial gardens, now built monumental basilicas in his honor, because far from forgetting him, the Christians were multiplying. In 313, Emperor Constantine legalized Christianity with the Edict of Milan. And by 380, under Emperor Theodosius, Christianity became the official religion of the Roman state, mandatory. The empire that executed its founder ended up becoming its greatest propagator. It is one of the most extraordinary turns of events in all of human history. Constantinople was perfect. Located on the Bosphorus Strait, it controlled the passage between Europe and Asia. It had impenetrable walls and access to incredibly rich trade routes to the east. While old Rome weakened, this new Rome became a formidable economic and military stronghold. Upon the death of Emperor Theodosius in 395 AD, the empire was permanently divided between his two successors, the Western Roman Empire, with its capital first in Milan and then in Ravenna, and the Eastern Roman Empire, which modern historians call the Byzantine Empire, with its prosperous capital in Constantinople. The fall of the Western Roman Empire. The first cause: constant barbarian invasions. The pressure from Germanic peoples like the Goths, Vandals, Franks, and Saxons on the borders was relentless. But the crucial point is to understand that these weren't simple invasions. They were massive migrations of entire peoples fleeing other, more dangerous groups, like the Huns, who were pursuing them. And Rome, weakened, couldn't repel them. In 410 AD, the unthinkable happened: the Visigoth Alaric sacked Rome. The Eternal City, which had remained unconquered for 800 years, was desecrated for 3 days. The psychological shock was devastating. If Rome could fall, nothing was eternal. Nothing was certain. The loss of wealthy provinces was devastating. When the Vandals conquered North Africa in 439, Rome lost its largest source of wheat and tax revenue. Without money, there is no army. Without an army, there is no empire. Constant power struggles and systemic corruption. Western emperors were increasingly weak, often children controlled by generals. True power was fragmented. And the fatal cause: the barbarization of the army. The Roman army, once the most disciplined military machine in history, now relied almost entirely on barbarian soldiers known as foederati. These were entire Germanic tribes that Rome hired as mercenaries, paying them with land, titles, and subsidies to defend the borders. These soldiers' loyalty wasn't to Rome, it was to their own tribal chieftains. They were an army within an army. A ticking time bomb. The West was alone, surrounded, impoverished, and without hope, on its last legs. And the last KHAOS data, number 7. Do you know who the last emperor of Rome was? The year was 476 AD. A Germanic barbarian general named Odoacer, commander of mercenary troops in Italy, grew tired of the charade. He dethroned the last emperor of the Western Roman Empire. It was Romulus Augustulus. He was only 15 or 16 years old when he was dethroned. Some historians believe he was even younger, perhaps 12 or 14. He was literally a teenager, a boy with a grand name, ruling the most powerful empire in history at its end. Odoacer simply proclaimed himself king of Italy, recognizing the authority of the emperor in Constantinople. But everyone knew the truth: the Western Roman Empire had ceased to exist. The story of the Western Roman Empire is an epic journey from Augustus's visionary stability to its slow and painful disintegration. All the empires that fell afterward repeated the same mistakes. It's a timeless pattern that offers lessons about the fragility of even the most absolute power. The empire fell in 476, yet its magnificent legacy survived and transformed. It shaped the new Germanic kingdoms of Europe. It founded the Middle Ages. Its laws inspired modern legal codes. Its language, Latin, evolved into Spanish, French, Italian, Portuguese, and Romanian. Its architecture continues to be copied. Its ideas about citizenship, republic, and empire live on. Rome will always be the eternal city. Today, Mundo KHAOS has taken you to the city of 7 hills, with 7 forgotten and little-known facts that lie behind the reality of the myths. Subscribe and comment on what your favorite fact was.